Hello, gorgeous people. Look where we are. Yay! I was looking at my roof. I really need to get on with repairing it. Well, I'm back in the garden. Goodness me, it's been a long time. The last time I was here was, I think it was the 14th of April to the 14th of March, 14th of... Sorry, not 14th of April, 14th of February to March. 2.5 months ago. Ridiculous. Look, other things in life took over. The weather was foul. On those occasions when I thought, yeah, I could get to the garden today, the weather was foul. It's been really it's been a cold, wet spring. So, yeah, look, it's right at the end of April at the moment. I think it's the 29th of April today. There's no two ways about it. I'm quite late. What I thought we'd do is I'm going to quickly show you around the garden, where things are at, what needs doing. Come back in here and we'll talk through the plan and hopefully encourage each other and what we can do rather than panicking about what we haven't done. So, come on, let's go have a look at the garden. Such a beautiful, bright, sunny day. We're going to have problems with shadows, but look, you can see just how long it is since I've been here by, oh my goodness. The shadows disappearing under grass, and look at the size of these weeds. I've never had weeds here before. I need to do something with that. Right, let's go and have a look at the garden. Oh my giddy goodness. Right, there's a lot to do. Now, in terms of a lot to do, there's a lot to do in terms of getting rid of last winter, but also getting rid of some of spring. By that I mean the grass needs cutting, I need to do some weeding, but how lovely that the tulips are, well, I've just about made it in time, haven't I? They're about to be over. But with the forget-me-nots, lovely, lovely. So yeah, basically all plant material, all the dead plant material out. All these ex-plants, this is charred, it's all about to bolt. They need to all come out. The brassicas, the remains of the brassicas, they do need to come out obviously, but they'll be the last things I take out because now they're in the flower. I might have picked the wrong time, it's getting busy down here, mower's just gone past. But yeah, what I was saying is obviously now they're in flower, the bees, it's a great source of food for the bees at this time of year before there's too much else happening in the garden. Just be careful. Right, these beds won't be in use for a while, so I can ignore those for now. Obviously weeding in the paths, the broad beans. Well, oh, ow. I don't know if we're going to have these covers off, but all of them got done in with the frost. Normally they can stand a bit of frost, but it was days and days and days. Okay, so I've taken the covers off. We might be a little bit stop-starty today just because folk are about and mowing, but yeah, these were the only ones that survived. Oh, there's plenty of flowers on. It's one of my most favourite flowers in the garden. They're so pretty. So I've got a little tranche of them there. Oh, actually, it looks like 2. Hold on a sec. Sorry. Huffy puffy. Oh my God. Sorry, I've got you all over the place. Well, 2 survived. I mean, for goodness sakes. The problem for these, this is autumn sown. Now, I've autumn sown them for years and years and years, no issues. They can take a mild frosting down to sort of 3-4 degrees centigrade minus. The problem this year, or it happened in December over the course of 10 days, if they get a frosting at night, common, then during the day, temperatures warm up a bit, they sort of shake off that frosting, they perk up, they get a bit of strength back, and then if that evening there's another frosting, they can take it. This year what happened was really, really unusually for us here in London. Our daytime temperatures didn't get above freezing. There were a couple of days we were -4 in the middle of the day, which is unheard of in London. But that's what did for, you know, I lost almost that entire bed of brassicas, one behind me. Okay, so they need a bit of attention. Garlic, how's the garlic? Oh my God, I mean, it looks so skinny. Oh, I mean, it looks like there's nothing down there. There's a couple which are looking a bit fatter, but for the most part, pretty skinny. Do they look like they want to throw up scapes already? I've picked the wrong day to come back down here, obviously. Look, there's a lot of people turning up. It's because the sun's come out. It feels like the first bit of sunshine since last year. That mower is going around and around. He's just stopped again now. Maybe he was doing it on purpose. If I get a quiet chunk, we'll go back out. I want to show you the rest of the garden to talk about other stuff. But for now, while we're in the shed, let's talk about the plan, the picture, the whole. But also, and I think this is kind of important. Oh, I'm getting warm. Like I said, it's right at the end of April. I feel. Okay, get your words together, Vivi. I feel really, really far behind. But on the other hand, I'm not panicking. So, hopefully, me sharing with you over the next couple of weeks, my progress over the next couple of weeks, will help you to feel not panicked as well. If you're in a similar situation to me, whereby you are just coming back to the garden properly for the first time this year, for whatever reason, you know, that you've been away, whether it's inclement weather, snow, life, work, whatever it is that's kept you away, but you're now coming back to the garden. So, how to not be overwhelmed. First things first, today I'm not actually, my planning coming down here doesn't include any work. Yay! So if I get a bit done, brilliant. But the whole point of today is to just sort of reacquaint myself with my garden, break the back of coming here, because I think sometimes when you're away for a while, it's not that it's out of sight, out of mind, but it just becomes habit to not be here. So if you haven't been to yours for ages, it's like I was saying in the video a couple of days ago, just get there. Don't plan to do anything, just get to your allotment and say, hello again, I'm coming back. Because it can just end up going on and on and on, can't it? And then you really will be behind. So get back to your garden, reacquaint, have a walk around. That's what I'm doing today, and I'm going to plan my jobs. In terms of, how to split this up. So I'm going to try now to get to the garden 3 to 5 times a week. Now 5 times a week sounds like quite a lot. Bear in mind, when I come, it will only be for about 2 hours at a time, because that's as much as my knees will take. You may be able to do all of yours in 2 visits, 2 weekend visits, 2 evening visits, because we're light. There's enough light now till 8 o'clock in the evening. So I'll get myself down here between 3 and 5 times a week, and every time I'm here I'm going to do 2 things, one of which is top priority, the other kind of needs to happen as well, but I'm not putting pressure on myself. The top priority is that every time I come down, over the next week, I'm going to be sowing seeds. I haven't sown anything yet. Now, in previous years, I would have felt really, really panicked because of that. But 2 things. 1, I'm doing things a bit differently this year anyway, pared down garden. And 2, it's been cold. It's been cold and really, really wet. We've had the wettest March in something like 45 years, I think I heard them saying on the news. I mean, it's been almost constant rain. We've had twice the average rainfall in March. So it's been cold and wet. So in many ways, it would have been too early to sow seeds anyway. but I do need to get them going now. The other thing is, because I'm paring the garden down, all the things normally by now, sorry, this is going to get a bit wordy and then I promise we'll get back out again. But normally by now at home, I would have sown peppers, celery and tomatoes. And I'd now be thinking about sowing courgettes and squash. I haven't started anything at home. The whole idea was to keep home clean, but also home has been upside down because of doing the kitchen reno, etc. So now I'm going to do all those things. I'm going to start, not celery and peppers, but I'm going to start tomatoes, courgettes, squash, etc. But I'm starting them in the cold frame this year. Eek! Is it going to be warm enough? But in propagators. So yes, the priority with every visit is to do a load of sowing. So for example, I've got these modules which are 1, 2, 3, 4, is it by 7, 2, 4, 6, yeah, so 20. So I'm going to be doing a load of module sowing of beetroot, spinach, chard, all my different lettuce things. This worked a treat last year. So even though the beds aren't ready, I'm going to get sowing. And the whole idea with doing all this sowing in the next few days is that then throughout the rest of May, I can focus on getting the beds ready for them while they're growing happily away. And then by the end of May, into the beginning of June, my beds will be ready, my plants will be ready to go out. So the little trays for, like I said, spinach, beet, chard, lettuce, all my leafy things, little leafy things. I'm probably not going to do brassicas this year. If I wanted to do brassicas, I really ought to have got them started by now, but also, do I want this garden through next winter? I'm not sure. I may change my mind. But what else I will be sowing, and now I've got these bigger ones, these are 21, are they? No, they're 15, I beg your pardon. So a bit deeper. Oh, here comes the mower again. So in these, I will get going squash, courgette, what else am I doing? Beans, etc. These are great for the squash or courgette because they give a nice, they sort of root train them, and then they're so easy to pop out from underneath because squash don't really like their roots being mucked around with. So I think these will be great starts for those. So yeah, I have my list of all the seeds I want to sow. And to be honest, in terms of timing, normally with my list sowing, my sowing list, it would be staggered from February right through to May. You know, I'd be doing different things every couple of weeks or so. It's virtually May. There's no timings on anything now. I'm just getting them all in, get everything sown. I will also be sowing a few things direct outside. If that mower stops, we'll go back outside so I can explain that. So yeah, get the seeds sown, and then on top of that, with each visit, you've seen I've got 4 main veg beds, and this is how to not get overwhelmed, or at least this is how it works for me. Those 4 beds each have 5 mini beds in them. So in total I've got 20 veg growing beds. Then I've got the herb garden and the deck area. Just taking the vegetable beds, 20 beds. If I do 1 bed a day, that's 20 days. Spread that over a month. Can I fit 20 gardening days into the 31, is it days of May? Yeah, I probably ought to be able to. And actually there shouldn't be too much trouble this year in terms of digging, because I'm not going to dig. So I'm not doing potatoes this year because I'm not digging potato trenches. So that let me off the hook back in March. No digging for potatoes. The rest of the beds, most of the plants, I'm going to grow them in the modules, coming back to the modules, and then I'm going to simply dig a hole for that module to then pop into that individual plant. So I'm not going to be digging over a whole bed anymore, just literally making a hole for the module to go into. It worked a treat last year with my beetroot, etc, etc. Then Sorry, I lost track. There's just loads of people around. It's really distracting. So no digging. Yay! Plus, beds have been covered for the winter with cardboard. It's all a bit tatty. So as I do each of those one bed at a time, things like I can take nets off, take the bricks off, take cardboard off, weed the bed and weed the path immediately next to it. That should be doable. The reason I'm telling you all this is because I hope it gives you hope for your garden. So rather than, I'm looking at the whole garden today and oh my goodness, there's a lot of work there. And it would be so easy today to feel overwhelmed and go home and think, I give up, I can't do it. That's not going to happen. I'm not a quitter. So if you're feeling like that too, try to look at literally, even if it's a one square metre area to focus on that one area. Get your seeds underway, whether it's in pots, trays, modules, get your seeds underway now. Because without seeds underway, you won't have any plants. There's no point tending to the beds. Once your seeds are underway, you can start to focus on a bed at a time. And it might be, hopefully, that by the end of May, all your beds are prepped and ready to receive the plants. And by prepped and ready, I mean that they're weeded, that they're clear of all the bricks and nets and weights you had on them in the winter. They're ready. Don't forget though, that the weeds are going to grow. It's not that by the end of May your beds will all be ready and they'll stay immaculate for the rest of the year. They won't. By the beginning of June you'll be going back to bed number 1 and probably weeding it a little bit again. But it's just that initial push to do a really thorough weed now. Cutting out all the old material from last winter. Just looking out there now, has the mower disappeared? I think so. Let's see if we can get back outside again, because we don't want to just be sitting in the shed all day, do we? Come on. Oh my goodness, take 27. So I went out to film. We will get back out in a second, but the little water tank near my cold frame had sprung a leak, so that's needed fixing. I've just helped, just literally a pair of hands to hold while it was all being screwed back together again. Hopefully that's okay, but I'll keep an eye on it because it's closest to my plot. Now, because there were so many people around, I went out with my camera and thought, no, I can't film. So what I've done is a very rough initial, strimming of my grass paths. The batteries run out, I knew it would, because when the grass is so long and gnarly, it's more wear on the battery. So I've focused on a couple of the crossways paths, not the long one, mainly because they're gorgeous, but they're full, absolutely chock full of dandelions flowering. Now, I love them. I know a load of you love them. However, I don't want them to go to seed and blow into my neighbour's plot. That's not fair. If they seed on my plot and I end up with a load of dandelions everywhere, well, that's tough luck on me. I'll pull them out. Not having that for my neighbour. So I've done my first strim ostensibly to knock out those dandelions. The brassicas are still out there for food for the bees, so don't worry. And yeah, I think that's another lesson, isn't it? When you do your first cut of the year, it's not going to be a short, neat cut. It's quite a long, shaggy cut. Just take it down a bit. I'll let it rest for a few days. Then I'll come back and I'll take it down a bit more until it's back to its usual neat looking self and edging and all that. Okay, let's see if we can get out there again now. Fingers crossed. Right, I'm going to try again. A lot of folk have gone home for lunch now, so it's a bit quieter. Hopefully we can crack on. But before I do, I just wanted to show you a couple of things on my neighbour's plot. Aren't these tulips gorgeous? I love these each year. I'm trying to find where's the best angle. The sun is so strong today, it's gorgeous. But these are such a delight every year. They're a little past their best, but they're beautiful. And just before I get back to my pot, it's so lovely to see with beautiful seedlings in beetroot. They do so well with their beetroot every year. Yay, to see something in the ground. Now, back to mine. Where was I? So, one of the things I was talking about seeding, bed prep, priorities. My other thing to think about, so this is bed number 3. It's going to be mostly squash. So actually, that will be planting. So I don't need to worry too much about these beds before the beginning of June. But there's a bed over there, possibly this bed here, and a bed at the top, which I want to seed in the next few days. This, I wasn't going to do any coco de pampon, but oh my goodness, I can't resist. So, that thing I was saying about coming each day, focusing on seeding and doing one bed. When I do one bed, what I'll be thinking about is weeding, obviously. And then if there's any dead plant matter or plant matter that's gone over, getting it out, chopping it up, getting it in the compost. And like I said, I won't be digging, but some of the beds, like the one I'm going to do for carrot, will need raking, or the calendula bed, that will need raking. But essentially, pulling the weeds out, pulling the plants out, will give it a bit of a tickle as it goes anyway. So, in terms of being organised and prioritising, I'm going to think about what I'm going to sow into modules and what I'd like to sow direct. If I'm sowing it direct, here, over there, that will be the first beds to tackle. And then also thinking about climbing beans. So yeah, there's about 5 beds I'd like to tackle in the next week. But as I said, these brassicas can stay in, well, you know, as long as, because the bees, even as I speak, the bees will be loving them at the moment. Then this bed, there's one parsnip I missed. This is going to be planted, sorry, I'm thinking out loud, this is going to be planted from the modules too, so I'm not going to worry about these beds too much. Obviously I've still got celery coming, I've still got chard coming, brilliant, but the one bed that I will give a bit of attention to in the next week, this one at the back. So it had my potatoes in it, and when I dug the potatoes up, by digging the potatoes up, the bed got a bit of a dig, because I'd like to put carrots in here. They want a slightly looser soil. Because it's taken me a while to get to, you can see where I left potatoes in by accident. So it'll give me a chance to get down and get those out. Obviously, as well as the beds, there's lots of smaller jobs like trimming my edges. This is my rose bush tree. This could do with a bit of a prune, and then coming around this way. I'm being mindful where I point the camera because there are a couple of people left around. Of a rosemary bush needs a trim. There's some self-seeded nigella and grass that have got into the cold frame. They need to come out. Lots of mowing to do. More self-seeders to come out. The rhubarb is already massive. Wow, yes, harvest today. Look at it. Oh my goodness, isn't that a sign of spring or late spring? Wonderful. Tucked down there is the honeysuckle, which I want to get to help train it up the fence. So in terms of harvesting, all those stalks around the back I'll take first to give me a bit of room to get to the honeysuckle, which is buried. But the rose, see the rose there? That's come around. All of this needs to be chopped out. This rose, actually someone's right in shot, so I'll show you this. I'll show you this in a second. Just mindful of people's privacy, but the blueberry bushes I should have pruned by now, haven't. And they are both Let me show you, covered in blossom. Look. Oh, it's going to be a ton of fruit again. Absolute ton of fruit. But yeah, all these little twiggy dead bits. I'll have a good sash, get those out. Oh my goodness, this rhubarb. This one has taken 3 years to get going. That's Delve. Oh yeah. Oh, not half misses. Finally. But of course what that means is there were under here, look, that's some, I can't remember which one now, Tulip Battellini, and more over there. So what I'll do with my harvest from this one is harvest these front leaves, stalks, get this front knot off, scoffed and enjoyed, and let the bulbs come up. Look, I just saw the chives already. A mess of flower heads forming. Gosh, they're lovely. I didn't even get the old sedum heads off. They need to come off. This is all the old winter stuff to come out. The verbena. Wow, the lovage. The lovage is going for it, and in amongst it, that is the tree lily. This year's tree lily, and this, I'll just point at the ground so you can see it's right next to it. You can just pull out. That's last year's stem. Oh, there are two. Oh, sorry, I'm a bit cack-handed. Okay, so yeah, actually, let's come around this way again. The lavender, that's all looking beautifully bushy and healthy. Oh, that's a lovely sight, isn't it? It would look even more fabulous when all my lawn paths are trimmed, or sort of cut down and trimmed. Ton of weeds come up through the deck. I've not had that before. So yeah, there's no two ways about it. I can show you the rose now. So if you remember last winter, I tried to bring it up and train it up, and it's coming along this wire. Now, can you make out the length of that shoot? It's almost the length of my hand. These are all new shoots. Sorry, one-handed. So what I need to do now is get this tied into the wire, because it's still going to keep growing this way, but you can see all that lovely new growth is going to start climbing up and filling that out. Gorgeous. Chuffed with that. Okay, so I need to clear I'm going to have to kick the cats out of the cold frame because, yeah, seed's starting. But I think let's just come and stand on even ground. Let's have an overview. You know what, without doubt, there is an awful lot to do. And as I was saying, I'm backing up onto the women's fence next door. Without doubt, looking at the whole of it today, I think, oh my goodness, where to begin? It's a lot. But it's sort of, in a way, it's obvious what to do. Sow my seeds, yes. And in terms of bed prep, prepare the beds where I'm going to be direct seeding. The others can wait. Cut back all the dead stuff from last year. Clear out the old brassicas, chop, chop, chop into the compost. And you know what? Just things like cutting the grass and edging my beds will make a huge difference. It will really, really make a massive difference as to how the garden looks. So, I'm not panicking, but I do really need to now roll my sleeves up and make a commitment to the garden for the next few weeks, in the same way that I made the commitment to the kitchen. Get the kitchen done, get it done and out of the way. Now, for the next month, it's all going to be about the garden. Get the garden done and sort of out the way. Of course, it's never completely out of the way. But, you know, break the back of it, get my seeds sown, fab. So that by June, I can start to think about the next big job in the flat. That sounds like a plan, doesn't it? Sounds like a doable plan. So on that note, I'm going to get on and do a few things. I will leave you with just a couple of quiet images from today, because when it goes quiet, it's so lovely. So for now, I'm going to say cheerio to you all, and please do, if you can, go back to your allotment, go and get reacquainted, go and say hello to it, and give it a little promise of, yes, I will start coming more regularly, and I will look after you again. All right, lovelies. Cheerio. Trying to capture there's honeybees and bumblebees in here. Come on, my pretty, show yourself.